All right. We appear to be live on YouTube.
Hello, people out there on the internet, specifically YouTube.
All right, let's get going. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Captain's Quarters, the unofficial Star Trek rewatch podcast where we are rewatching the entire Star Trek franchise starting at the beginning of the official chronology. We have completed Star Trek Enterprise. We did 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. We watched the original pilot, The Cage. We've completed 2 seasons of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And now we're on Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 4, called Space Adventure Hour. Our format is that I am Gabe and I have not seen Star Trek other than a little bit of the um, the Next Generation when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it. And my co-captain Jason has seen Star Trek.
Hello.
So I'm the straight man, he's the expert.
I
He
wouldn't
co-
call it that.
he he schools me schools me on Star Trek. Anyway,
We learn together.
Jason, make it so.
Hey, buddy, how are you? Good to be back in the quarters.
It's fantastic to be back in the quarters. Um, for our diehard fans, if you ever, notice long hiatuses from us, don't fret. Jason and I are in this for the long haul. It's just that we both work and we have
Yep.
families, and it's hard to get together sometimes.
Yep. Life, it gets in the way. It finds a way, but it gets in the way.
If you want to change this, tell all your friends to subscribe to us so we can do this full time.
Oh
Um,
boy. Oh, could you imagine?
okay, so let's usually I do the fandom.com synopsis,
Okay.
but what's interesting about this one, even though this originally aired July 31st, 2025, if AI is correct, um, the fandom.com page for this one is incomplete. And
Oh,
so,
interesting.
yeah, if there's a Star Trek
Oh,
hardcore fan out there who's, has nothing better to do, I mean, get cracking. It's a wiki site. Anyone can contribute to it. I'm not going to do it, but just because I don't know how to use wiki. But yeah, I think it's the first time that's happened.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm surprised, but at the same time, kind
Yeah.
of cool that it's not.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so the synopsis is that Enterprise is investigating a collapsing neutron star, and there's been a breakthrough in space travel in the light speed travel, and so they're going to be able to do longer missions. Um, and as a result, they're looking for new forms of entertainment. And there's a holodeck prototype, and La'an is going to be the lead character, and she requests to do like a murder mystery. And so they enter her and Spock, maybe enter the holodeck, and they go right into a murder mystery. They're in like old-timey Hollywood. There's a producer that has been murdered. He's been strangled, and there's all these characters there. And so the reason it's called Space Adventure Hour is because there is a show, Space Adventure Hour, which is clearly a nod to old school Star Trek, just with the
The
costumes.
actual show was called The Last Frontier. Just,
Oh, okay.
yes, but
Yeah,
that's
okay.
a small niggly deal. But
No, 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 yeah. I
yeah,
didn't, I just assumed. Okay. So, so the idea is like all of the actors and producers and creators of this show are the suspects because the producer was going to cancel the show and all these people livelihoods was going to go up in smoke. And so La'an is going around and piecing together clues and accusing people. Many of the characters who she accuses end up killed themselves. And while they're in there, the power from this collapsing star affects the holodeck, and it's also because it's a primitive holodeck, um, it can't handle it. And there's a third reason why it was glitching, but basically they get trapped. So on the surface, Scotty has to figure out how to fix it. Um, and in the holodeck, um, ultimately what happens is that I'm just gonna skip right to the end. So
Sure.
ultimately what happens is it wasn't actually Spock who followed her. As soon as she entered, there was a holographic Spock who followed her. And the holodeck made that choice um, based on her experiences. And that Spock actually ended up being the murderer. And so he didn't have a motive. And the holodeck had decided, well, she asked for a mystery. So the most mysterious thing would have been the least suspecting character who had no motive. And then back on the surface, real Spock and La'an are doing the tango, I believe the Argentine tango.
The Argentine tango.
Yeah, and it's pretty sensual. They're all up on each other, and they realize there's more there. And the episode ends with them sharing a very sensual kiss. And and then the end credits is more of the adventure show. I already forgot what you said it was called, Frontier or something.
The Last Frontier.
The Last Frontier.
Yeah.
So there you go. Sometimes Jason and I have the burden of covering an episode that has like that's very inconsequential. It's very in a bottle, so to speak. And this one, world building, the longer light travel, uh, the blossoming relationship between La'an and Spock, Scotty kind of getting over some of his feelings of inferiority from his previous post because he saved the day here, and he has to learn the lesson. Like, um, I can't remember if it's number one
It
or
was number one.
who says to him,
It was number one.
we do hard things here, and things happen. You can't blame yourself if you're, we're a speck of dust out in the galaxy. Like things are going to go catastrophically wrong all
Yeah.
the time, and
Yeah.
it's not your fault. So I think he got closure there.
But a lot of it was that he didn't ask for help, was that he was trying to cover it himself.
Yeah,
And number one was reminding him that they were a crew of 200 and whatever it was. But yeah, so it's not a weakness, but a strength to ask for help, which is totally true.
absolutely.
And yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, do you agree with me that this episode was pretty inconsequential?
Yes, it was inconsequential, other than the fact that they kind of laid the groundwork for the holodeck and why it's not really mentioned um, in the original series, and then it's kind of introed in the next generation. So yeah, there was a lot of world building. However, with that being said, there it's funny because there was a lot of world building on the outside of of Star Trek, and they parodied. And this is where I love this episode. This is actually one of my favorite episodes of the franchise in general.
Wow.
It's
No.
not, yeah, no. it has nothing to do with like, the moral story and all that kind of stuff, even though Uhura's Joni Gloss's speech uh about Star Trek and taking a campy science fiction show and dressing it up in plastic, in plastic and rubber costumes and pajamas, setting it in the future, but really at the core talking about humanity and the human condition and all our faults and, what we're looking for and what we're trying to strive to achieve was one of the best speeches about, yes, she was talking about The Last Frontier, but she was actually talking about Star Trek. The other thing, I love the fact that they brought Paul Wesley and they kind of mocked and parodied the original series. If you go
Yeah,
back, that was
right.
fun,
Yeah.
right? Paul Wesley plays Maxwell Saint, who, plays a very, um, you could tell that he was really leaning into paying homage, but also being campy towards the Kirk character in
Yeah.
Star Trek the original series. And then the fact that the Egonian, the alien,
Yeah.
uh, uh I mean, she was holding two sticks, to the third
Right,
eyeballs,
right. Yeah,
showing
yeah.
how campy Star Trek was back in the day. Um, but the larger story though. So Anson Mount plays a version of Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, I assume that was so, but I've seen interviews with Gene Roddenberry, and Anson Mount was very acid trippy, kind of
Yes, acid
hippie.
trippy, but also the fact, like, apparently that's what a younger, and I don't want to like characterize Gene Roddenberry in that way, but apparently he did have a lot of those mannerisms and things, and like,
Hmm.
he was an alcoholic, and there were things about him back in the day that he was a struggling writer on television, right?
Okay.
Star Trek was his own thing, was his one thing. I mean, real big one thing as an executive producer.
Hmm.
And then, right? And then the I love that they used. I really hope that Sonny Lupino, uh, Rebecca Romijn's character, the
Yeah.
woman.
Hmm.
I hope she got her name from Ida Lupino, the famous British American actress from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Okay.
But also the fact, if you understand like the history of Star Trek, I think she was also that character drew inspiration from Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball
Yeah.
was,
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy, but also the studio head of the Desilu Studios, where
Hmm.
Star Trek, was made.
Hmm.
Um, and then Adelaide Shaw, Jess Bush's character. I love that, to me, that she was the number one in The Last Frontier next to Maxwell Saint's, uh, character.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like
It was very meta.
meta Star Trek homage to the original series kind
Hmm.
of details in real life kind of dealio. Obviously, there was no executive producer. There was, mob connected executive producer that I know of that was, murdered, but this was a murder mystery.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun, and it was, um, yeah, it didn't add anything, but it did kind of talk about how the original series struggled, and I loved how they kind of made fun of it,
Okay.
um,
All right.
with the Last Frontier.
Yeah. And with Kirk, so he did like everybody makes fun of Shatner's diction. Is that what you would call
Yeah,
it?
I would call it diction. Yeah, for sure. His
Yeah.
cadence.
Yeah. But people way over exaggerate it. You know, when I watch it, I see it.
Yeah.
Um, as someone who pauses a lot when they talk to, maybe I'm a little like oversensitive to it, but I'm just like people go way overboard in their impression of Shatner. And like I think so so this actor definitely went overboard
Yeah. And
on
I
the
think
pauses.
and I think, that's I think that was I think that's what he was trying to do was, you know, be campy and over exaggerate to kind of make a
Hmm.
point. Scotty, where are my shields? But yeah.
I just wonder, if he should have toned it down a bit as a show of respect to his predecessor, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is he doesn't do it as Kirk. He doesn't when he plays Kirk,
Hmm.
it's not as
Right, right.
that, but yeah, I thought it was fun. And then the other small little fun fact is that Jonathan Frakes, when you can hear him in when Scotty is trying to connect with La'an and being like, you have to solve this. The only way to end this simulation is that you solve this. You could hear Will Riker, Jonathan Frakes, directing the
Hmm.
Last Frontier episode. And then when you come to the end, when it's all the I guess you would call it the spoof outtake kind of bits
Hmm.
at the end of the episode
Yeah.
of this Strange New Worlds episode that but is really the end of also the Last Frontier.
Hmm.
You can hear him go cut and say directorial things as well, which was a lot of fun.
Okay. All right. Um, what would you give this episode?
Oh, like I said, I'm biased. It didn't add anything. It didn't add much. It added a little bit, but what it did add and what it talked about was again the the ideation, the tough go of the original series, and some of the characters, the real life people. Gene Roddenberry, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. Um, you know, uh, and then to me, La'an, that costume. Every time she walked in a room with that big hat, the tie, and the jacket, I thought of where in the world is Carmen
Let's
Sandiego? Yeah. Um, answer your question. I'm giving this a 4 pips. I loved it. I loved it. I love that they kind of paid homage, but also made fun in a very lighthearted way, the original series and all that kind of stuff. I love that. I love that they added, um, yeah, that they made a little TV show within a TV show.
Yeah, okay. I can respect it. And I feel like you're like a lot more versed in this that era of Hollywood, so you're like can appreciate that
Yeah.
maybe more than I can. So I get it. Like to me, I could more just see how it's kind of like it had like noir aspects and
Yeah.
it was, playing into that genre and but the specific connections it just like goes right over my head. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, you kind of have to be, you have to kind of go down that rabbit hole as a fan. Um, you know, this is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like when Seth MacFarlane or when Robot Chicken or whatever, they tried to pay homage to like Star Wars in a sense.
hmm.
Um, and when they, or when, I forget who it is, but when they try to do Star Wars and they go back and be like, oh, um, they take the terrible dialogue, and kind of extend it or make fun of that or
Sure.
whatever the
I
case
think
might be.
Family Guy does that a lot.
Yeah, Family Guy does that a lot. And so
Yeah,
I think they went in that, so it's kind of like that. If you're a big Star Wars fan and you're like, okay, yes, I get the campy, whatever it is, affliction to Star Wars. It's very much like this is what they did to Star Trek the original, kind of the original series.
okay. I think for me, um, I'm going low, buddy.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I get that.
Like I always because I love this series and I never want to go below a C.
No, you should if you want, you should. If that's
However,
what.
if I'm being true to myself, a C minus just I feel like it's a D plus for me.
Yeah, I totally get it. If you don't know the history and like the drama of the original series and how it was produced and you know and the other thing too I will add is I love that yes there was an inspiration of Gene Roddenberry and we have a tendency to overly romanticize our heroes
Sure.
and put them on a pedestal,
Hmm.
but from what I've heard from what I've heard about Gene Roddenberry, yes, I'm grateful that he's created this series in a franchise that I absolutely adore and love, obviously.
Yeah.
He himself, there were stories of, extramarital affairs and
Oh yeah.
alcoholism and,
Yeah.
I mean, paint the whole picture, please, of the man. He wasn't a statue, he was a man. And we all have our faults and we have, all of our, you know, things that we all carry. And he's not perfect. And I'm glad they kind of like wrote this neurotic alcoholic kind of character, loosely based on Gene Roddenberry, but yes, you could see that. So I'm absolutely, yeah, I love that part. But I can totally see if you're not that depth into the rabbit hole of the history and all that kind of stuff, I could totally see that this was like, eh, yeah,
Okay.
a D plus episode. I could see that.
I guess for me too, the Hollywood that they were portraying seemed to predate what I consider the Star Trek production era.
Kinda, yeah,
Like it
kinda,
looked more like 40s and 50s
yeah,
versus the 60s,
yeah, kinda,
and that threw me off.
yeah, kinda. Mob boss, a person connected to the mob.
Right.
Um, Although that was still kind of prevalent in the 60s, but I totally get what you're saying that it was more 40s, 50s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, part of this too, admittedly, Jason, is like I just can't wait to get to the original series.
Uh-huh.
I'm so excited for that.
Okay.
And it just bothers me that this episode is in the way of that. Like an episode that's not really adding anything,
Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. Okay. Yep.
like
Yep.
something that's not other than the holodeck, like you said, which would be in Next Generation. Maybe some character traits of Scotty, whatever. But I'm just like, damn it, because it's hard for you and I to get together. Um,
Yeah. Sometimes.
it just feels like a wasted opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that.
So
Yeah, I get that.
yeah. Anyway, was there anything else about this episode you want to talk about?
Uh, I mean, other than the fact that, Lon said create a story that will be difficult, that would be least suspecting,
Hmm.
of and obviously she would never expect Spock to be the murderer because obviously I think that's kind of layering in another oh, I don't like using the same word twice in the same sentence, but I'm gonna have to. It adds another addition that adds an additional layer to her relationship, ever growing one with Spock, and that,
Sure.
it's become very, very close.
Sure.
And then the other thing, tango, the Argentinian tango, it's an Afro-Argentinian thing. And with the World Cup, this is a social commentary. Uh, it's it behooves me at how racist Argentina is. I've always felt this way, but tango was brought by African slaves, and then that became Afro-Argentinians. Um, and it's a source of pride for a lot of Argentinians, and yet they've completely successfully eradicated um, a huge black population in Argentina, and the country is very much um, Euro and white,
Hmm.
and one of the most racist, if not the most racist. I'm not going to say that. It's one of the most racist countries, and successfully racist countries in the
Hmm.
world. Just
How
look at
did
their foot. Just look at the Argentinian national team.
hmm.
That's all.
How did they eradicate them?
Well, in a lot of ways, it was so back in the 1800s, it was sending many Afro-Argentinians into the front lines for the Spanish, Argentinian wars and conflicts. They would be on the front lines,
Hmm.
and then just by policy that, you know, over the hundreds of years, um, right-wing Argentinian politicians, uh, you know, uh, had policies directed towards, being a safe haven for Nazis, but also being a safe haven for um, Europeans,
Hmm.
settlements to come to Argentina and settle, and
Okay.
then basically politically kind of remove a lot of African um, base population from Argentina.
Hmm.
I mean, not that long ago, there was an Argentinian population that said, we are a white nation. Um, Something to the effect of that we are a white nation, and unfortunately, um, he said that something to the tune of that African or black is a Brazil problem.
Hmm.
So,
I did not know this.
yeah.
I had always romanticized Argentina. I know they have good beef, good wine, they have free education.
Yep.
I took Argentine tango in college. It's actually the only A plus I ever got in college. I think I did level one and two. I did two
Oh,
semesters.
okay. Okay. Yeah. It has Afro roots, and yet
Interesting.
Argentina has basically eradicated much of their African population for sure.
Sad to hear.
It is. And you can definitely feel that when you visit,
Yeah?
you know. Look, I don't want to, I don't want this to be an Argentine bash.
Hmm.
I'm just making a social commentary that with the World Cup going on, you know, Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, those teams have, some of the best teams in the world. France, Morocco, every, and the success of many of the African nations,
Hmm.
Cape Verde being the Cinderella story of the 2026 Men's World Cup, but Senegal, Democratic Republic of Congo, all of them, they deserve praise. But yes, it is something in Argentina, and it's something that Angel and like. We didn't face it, but you could feel it when you're, in parts of Argentina.
Hmm. Okay. I should point out though, in most modern societies, there's often two factions.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so,
100%. That's why I do not want to get, it's still a beautiful country and there are still a lot of beautiful things, but
but
about it.
I'm saying like, some of these policies and racism, it could be one party, and there's probably an opposite end of the spectrum that
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely. Absolutely.
not guilty of these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
And to
just
and to those who are listening, if we have any Argentinian Argentine listeners, I don't know how to say it, but you know, we understand there's a spectrum, just like there's in the US.
there,
If
yeah, absolutely.
if you've never been to the US, or if you only spent a brief amount of time here, if you went to certain parts of the US, you would get a very different impression
A
than
100%.
if
A
you
hundred
went
percent.
to the Pacific Northwest or something like that. So,
100%.
yeah.
I was just visiting, we were just visiting with my sister,
Hmm.
and we were talking about that, and we were talking about, she's a teacher, and we were talking about how, um, did the South actually win the Civil War? And there's an argument for it for sure. So, yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, it's a little short, not a fun fact, but just, you know, it's something that gets lost, and I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure
No.
that
Yeah, like I said,
Argentinian Tango gets his proper due.
I took 2 units of it, and I didn't even know that. So that's funny that I never knew that. Yeah. Well, was there anything else with this episode?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. Cool. And then like on the Star Wars front, I don't know if there's much to report. I will say my family and I are continuing to watch. We finished the Mandalorian show,
Hmm.
which I think we had started to watch as a family last time we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're watching Ahsoka, and I think we're on the last episode of
Hmm.
Ahsoka. But it has been a lot of fun watching it with my wife and daughter. It has completely given me a brand new perspective on Grogu, the new shows. But then also, there is a rewatch quality to The Mandalorian. In my opinion, it is way better on the second watch.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I feel validated even more so saying that, because when I talked to my wife about her first impression of the show, The Mandalorian, it's exactly what I had, where it's like it feels very flat and a little too episodic.
Yeah.
But but in her case, I think she likes it more than I did my first time, just because she loves Grogu so much.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And my daughter is obsessed with Grogu. Like right now, my daughter cosplays as Grogu every day. Um, but anyway, like on the second watch, this rewatch of Mandalorian, like it really is a visually stunning show. And to a degree I did not pick up on the first go around. I mean, it is a beautiful show. The music, the production, the
Hmm.
scenery. I'm really appreciating it, and I've really just turned a whole new leaf on it.
Wow.
So, and oh, and at the same time, my wife and I are watching Andor together.
Oh.
She's never seen
Oh.
it, and
Oh.
we're on the last episode of season 2, so the finale of the series finale. So this is probably my third or fourth time watching it, and it still chills every episode. It's
Hmm.
still my favorite show. So,
I'm I am very intrigued and very interested in getting Becky's
yeah,
insight on the political
yeah. That,
uh yeah, the
that's
political and
definitely
social machinations of what she thinks of the show.
definitely a big draw for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I figured that as much.
yeah,
At the
yeah.
very least that it was a big draw, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's been fun watching 3 Star Wars shows
Amazing.
again over a very short amount of time, but you know, we saw the movie and they wanted more Grogu. I was like, hey, I've got 3 seasons of technically four if you count Book of. Oh, that's the thing. We watched
Yeah,
Book.
I was about to say Book of Boba Fett has a cut
We
synopsis.
watched Book of Boba Fett as well.
Awesome.
So we
And
watched.
Ahsoka too, doesn't it? Oh no no
Uh,
no 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 no
apparently
no
not.
Grogu and Ahsoka. Yeah 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 yeah.
Apparently not. I thought so too, and I actually told them I was like, "Hey, just so you know, Grogu shows up." I thought in my head I made up a scene where the whole gang got together and fought Balin's skull, but
No
no,
no
it doesn't
no
happen.
no. That does not happen.
Yeah,
I think it's Ahsoka that makes an appearance in the Mando show where
she
Grogu is.
does.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
and Book of Boba Fett. Yeah,
Right. Okay. 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 Okay.
yeah. So yeah, um, that's pretty much it. Um, and I don't know, last time did we talk about the Ocarina of Time remake?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, no
Not
news
a
on that
little
front.
bit, but quite a. But isn't it out soon?
It's supposed to be in 2026, but there's been no update and it's been
Oh.
yeah, it's been I think a month since they announced it. So,
Okay.
I'm sure sometime soon there will be more news
Okay.
and that'll be all. You won't be able to get a word out of me
Yeah, I kind of figured that
edgewise,
we would be
so yeah.
taking a break.
Yeah.
Just because you're gonna be hands full with that.
Yeah. Should be fun. But yeah, I've been doing some other stuff with other Zelda YouTubers. We've been doing some collabs. That's been
Oh,
fun.
cool. Oh,
Talk about
cool.
Ocarina of Time
Oh,
and
cool.
good. It's, got some new subscribers from it, so that's been fun. So anyone watching this, if you want to check out my Zelda channel, it's Gabora, Gabeora. I would appreciate it.
And remind our listeners what that stems from, because it's a character, right? Or something from
Yeah,
Legend
yeah,
of Zelda.
yeah.
Play on your name, but also.
Yeah, because my name is Gabe. There is a character whose name is Kapora Gabora. And so he spells it just like me, except the A and the E are transposed. But there's also a character in Skyward Sword who very likely is based on the one I was just talking about, named Gaypora, who looks a lot like the human version of the one I was just talking about. There's also a dancer in Majora's Mask who I think is called Gabora, but has nothing to do with the other two. But
Oh, wow.
um, I just think for me, that's my name, and um, for a while, because the characters has an owl version of themselves, and owls are very wise. And as a theory channel, I think wisdom is a big component of that, and so that's just kind of how it went. So yeah,
Very cool. So
so
I thought it was a fall, winter. I thought
they
you had said
haven't
the last time. Okay. I thought for some
they
reason
haven't said, yeah, they
you had
haven't
said
given
that.
date.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm guessing it'll be November. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when I was growing up, a lot of Zelda games came out in November, including Ocarina of Time, I think. No, scratch that. I know Majora's Mask came out in November.
Okay.
It's a popular month for them to come out in November just because Christmas.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
Um, the other thing for us is that season 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds drops in like 2 weeks. I think it's the 23rd of July. So we'll probably get pretty close to finishing this. And then I'm sorry, finishing season 3 and then
yeah, I hear you.
maybe catch up to season 4.
Sure.
In situ live.
Okay. Yeah, hope so. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Thanks for watching and listening. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts where this is available. Greatly appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, we're gonna keep going. And we'll see you next time. And then live long and prosper.
And may the force be with you. Thank you.
See ya. Jason, hang on a second.
Oh, sure.